Good morning to you all. I wanted to talk to my friends out there about something that's very passionate to me. Passion's a good thing, but that's just what I wanted to talk to you about. Passion and wisdom are actually not the same thing. Passion is fun, but dangerous. Wisdom can be dull, but it's very, very effective and ultimately the real path to success. I'll start off by telling you a story of something that kind of sobered me up on this matter at a very early age. Let's go back to 1963. I was a senior at the University of Illinois, and it's May, the first day of May. And expectations are running deep around the campus that something is supposed to happen. It's May Day. Usually that means water fights and panty raids on the girls' dorm and screams and squeals as we kind of let academics kind of slide by and we have some darn good fun. Except that the Interfraternity Council had come to a decision, the fraternities, that we're not going to do that this year. It's very undignified to be doing this. So here we were, quieting down the passions, waiting to see if anything was going to happen. And that evening, right after dinner, I worked as a waiter in a neighboring fraternity house. We were cleaning up, and the guy that does the dishes was emptying out the dishwater out the back. We were all getting ready, standing around ready to go home, and he throws it on us. Well, you can't answer something like that without a countering action, and so we went in and grabbed buckets, and the next thing you know, we got a little water fight going there right behind this fraternity house. And it wasn't maybe 5 minutes before I looked up and I realized other guys were coming out from their fraternity houses to join us. And whoopee, finally, we had our May Day event in full roar. Then somebody shouts out, "To the girls' dorms, to the girls' dorms." That's the panty raid that's supposed to happen. So here we go, charging from one side of campus all the way over to the other. Scary things happen, like this bulldozer that was left there repairing the road. Somebody jumps on it, there's a key in it, and it starts it up and runs it back and forth. I think, this is not good. In any case, we then head across Faculty Row, trampling as we went. Hedges lining sidewalks to their houses go crashing down as what is now clearly a mob is headed for the girls' dorms. We get over there, and somebody sees a fire hydrant and opens it up. And so the crowd gathers around to watch us because we're going to have a great water fight, except, but that time a policeman drives up. And he's prepared for this because he has a monkey wrench. And he turns the hydrant off. And then some kid jumps out of the crowd, grabs the wrench from the hands of the startled policeman, and turns it back on again. And that's when I decided, I don't want to be any more of this event. This is not pretty. People are doing things under the influence of mob psychology they would not normally do. And I wondered about that and thought about that a lot afterward. And I didn't have to wait long before I could plumb it, because now I'm in grad school at Georgetown doing international studies. And I'm watching China. Events in China unfold. And Mao Zedong, crazy dictator of communist China, who's already nearly destroyed China once with his brainy idea of having peasants, instead of farming the fields, go in and build these little tiny blast furnaces where they would make this iron, which if every villager was doing this, then that would equal the equivalent of iron production of Britain, and therefore make China finally a great industrial power, except that the stuff that came out of those foundries was not worth anything. It was such poor grade iron, it was useless. And it starved millions of Chinese because the Chinese farmers weren't doing what they were trained and raised to do, which is produce food for China. Anywhere from 14 to 30 million people died as a rate. So here is Mao again trying to study, except this time he understands. Do it with the kids. Do it with the kids. The Cultural Revolution. And so he produces this little red book of his own sayings and has it passed out to the students, the kids. Well, the students are not studying anymore because they're out of college. They're gathering in little learning circles to recite the sayings of the wise Mao Zedong, who has authorized them to also turn on their elders, where they might discern unrevolutionary thought and behavior and bring them down. He trusts this to the kids. The Cultural Revolution is a disaster. Stops all progress in China because kids have no perspective. They only have passion. And I understand the value of passion. But passion without perspective is not wisdom. Here we are. It's 2020. And I'm watching the same thing going on in my own country. And I'm really, really concerned. You can say, was that why you wrote your 3-volume books? No. Actually, I started that before because I was concerned about this. And now I'm just seeing simply the results of what I've been long concerned of, which is the lack of wisdom that's directing America today. It's just passion. And the idea is that if you feel passionately about something, then it must be right. Cain felt passionately about his brother Abel and had him killed. See, yeah, but isn't passion ruled by some sense of reason? I don't know. Cain stood before God and reasoned with God why it was right to kill his brother Abel. Lawyers, that's their job, is to provide rationalization for whatever it is that is in your personal interest, passionately especially. Anybody can make a case. A 6-year-old can make a case for whatever it is they want by a rational argument. No, that's not wisdom. Just because you can justify your passion hardly yet qualifies it as wisdom. Anyway, I'm going to be offering a series, my books. The first volume, Securing America's Covenant with God, takes us from the founding of the nation in the early 1600s up to the end of the 1800s. The next volume, America's Rise to Greatness Under God's Covenant, takes us from the late 1800s up through to the beginning of the 1960s, when we were a major superpower defending Western civilization against a bitter enemy called communism that wanted to bring it down. And then the last volume, The Dismissing of America's Covenant with God, takes us from mid-60s to the present. And you notice I use the word covenant with God. That is real wisdom, because that was how this nation was actually founded. No, I mean, okay, there was a Virginia. It was a feudal society, had slaves and all that. But I'm talking about New England and the middle colonies that were based on a covenant with God. And they had as the source of their wisdom, the wisdom of a people, Israel, plus the early church, that told the story of what works and what doesn't work. And we dismiss that today in the name of passion and whatever seems at the moment to work, at our great peril. And so I'm going to try to bring us back to some perspective, some understanding of history, our own history, and what has worked and what hasn't worked. What great leaders have led us forward, what terrible leaders have also made life very difficult for us, so that we can discern the difference, so that we can be wise and not just passionate. So, this is Miles Hodges, wishing you all a good day and hoping to bring some wisdom into America's doings. Thank you.